Hey, what's up everybody? This is the first episode of Music Talk with Rob Wells. That's me, Rob. I am a music producer and songwriter. I've been doing this for many, many years, and today's topic is basically how I got into this crazy business, how I became a songwriter, how I became a music producer, all of that. Hopefully some of what I say today may relate to where you are in your journey to become a songwriter or producer. Maybe some of what I say today can help you out in that journey in one way or another. So I'm going to take you back many, many years, many years. I was born in 1972 in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, which is a little town between Toronto and Ottawa, if you know your geography. Not a lot happening musically for myself too much in Peterborough. Peterborough is very much a sports town, a lot of hockey that goes on there. However, I was born into a very musical family. My mother played piano, my grandmother played all sorts of instruments, including piano, organ, guitar, harmonica, lots of things. My grandfather on my mother's side was a United Church minister, so there was a lot of singing. My dad was a United Church minister as well. So a lot of music that was just happening all around at home and also at church. And church provided lots of different musical opportunities, lots of choirs, lots of performing in front of the congregation weekly. So my musical upbringing was just, very, very much so. From birth to the age of 5, there's just so much music. So at the same time that I'm learning, the language that's being spoken at home, which was English, I was learning the piano as well, just because my mother was playing piano all the time. My older brother was playing piano all the time. Piano was just almost like a secondary language that was being spoken at home, and music kind of like a secondary language. So just kept playing piano, just from a very young age. At around the age of 2, my mom tells me that I started playing and just walking up and just plunking away at the keys and just having fun. And then eventually that led to me figuring out melodies, the sort of playing back by ear, the melodies that I was hearing my mother and my brother and my grandmother playing on the piano all the time. I then just sort of went head on into playing piano as much as I could. And when I was around 8 years old, in Canada, we call it grade 3 instead of 3rd grade in America. So grade 3, my music teacher said, Rob, I know that you like to play a lot of piano and you play at every recess and lunch hour. Have you ever thought about writing a song at all? And that idea had never occurred to me. I just kind of thought that songs had always been there. I didn't know that somebody wrote songs. It just never occurred to me at all. So he said, why don't you go home over the Christmas break and try writing a song for the class to sing in April. There was a big concert that was happening in April at my school, and he thought that it would be a good idea to get that happening, get me to write a song for the class. So I went home. I spent a lot of time working away over the Christmas break on a little melody and some words and some chords. And I brought it back to him and I played it to him, and he loved it, or at least he said that he loved it, supporting me. And then he played it for the class, and they were forced to sing it. I don't know whether they liked it or not. But then in April, my whole class presented it to the rest of the school and teachers and parents. And at the end of it, I saw everybody clapping, and I just thought, this is the coolest thing ever. Going from never writing a song to all of a sudden writing a song and then having it being performed in front of a captive audience, and they all clap at the end. I just thought, this is amazing, and how can I do this? How can I do this a little bit more? So I kept writing. All my elementary school friends were saying, can you write a song for me going to my cottage? Can you write a song for this girl in the classroom? Whatever, all that sort of thing. So I just kept writing and playing piano. All throughout high school, I continued writing songs in bands that I was in, just sitting there, at lunch hour, just coming up with lyrics and melodies and trying to escape to the auditorium to go play piano and try to flesh these ideas out. High school is now over. I have no idea how to make any money at songwriting. It's, I just knew that I liked to write songs, and I like to start to dabble a little bit in recording these songs just with basic equipment, just like a 4-track recorder and a little simple keyboard at this time. But I have no idea how to make any money at writing music, and bills are starting to come in. I'm starting to become an adult, and life catches up. So I left music and went to school to become a computer animator, and I did that for probably about 7 years professionally. And all the while, when I was being a computer animator, I would sink all my money into buying gear, buying computer, buying keyboards, buying drum machines, buying microphones, buying outboard gear, buying software, and then learning all of this on my off time. So every evening, every weekend, just playing around with all of this gear and writing music and trying to figure out a way that I could take these songs and put it into the gear that I was using. And kept doing this every evening, every weekend, and then I'd go every day to my animation job. Eventually, I started meeting other people that were also writing songs and recording, and we started to collaborate a little bit together, started to network a little bit, and eventually I heard of something coming up in Toronto that was called a writing camp for a particular project, an artist project. And I thought, what is a writing camp? What is that all about? And I learned what a writing camp was, where a whole bunch of different songwriters come together and all work together writing songs for a week for a specific project. And I just thought, how can I be involved in that? How can I do that? So I found out who was organizing that camp. His name was Justin Gray, and I begged and pleaded him to let me in, to let me be a part of this, and he agreed. I went and wrote a whole bunch of songs that week for a particular project in Canada. At the end of the week and at the end of the project, none of those songs were selected to go on there, but I had sort of seen the light. I had met a whole bunch of different songwriters, a lot of them professional songwriters. I'd met some artists, just like a great, massive way to just instantly network and get to know sort of the whole Canadian songwriter scene within a week. I then went back to my animation gig and kind of all depressed and just thinking I'd seen the gates of heaven opening up for me, and I didn't know how to make this my full-time career. So I kept writing, kept doing networking and co-writing with other people, and eventually 2 years later, I got a phone call from one of the guys at that writing camp. His name was Mike James, and he said, "Do you remember that song that we wrote in the afternoon of day 2 at the writing camp?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And he said, "Well, we'd like to release it with an artist in Canada, out of Vancouver. Are you okay with that?" And I was like, "Totally, that's amazing." So the song got released, and it went into the top 40 in Canada and eventually went top 10 in 2003. Now this is, and I totally quit my animation job that week, and thinking that I was going to be a instant millionaire off of having a top 40 hit in Canada. Anyways, sort of right place, right time. I put all my eggs into the one basket of making music now at this point, now that I'd had a song on the radio and it was successful. This is now fall of 2003, and Canadian Idol started up right around the same time as American Idol and all the other idols around the world. We had a Canadian Idol. And I got asked to work with the winner of Canadian Idol to write songs for his upcoming record. So I wrote, again, at a writing camp with a whole bunch of other people. I got 2 songs on that record. I got to produce one of them for BMG Records. And none of them were singles, but the record came out, and I could now use that as a calling card to say, well, now I've just worked on this Canadian Idol record. Maybe I can work on other things. So over the course of the next year, I used that, and I said, can I be plugged into this, plugged into that? And I got invited to various different things, all very, minor projects within Canada. Canadian Idol Year 2 happened in 2004. And again, I got involved in that, and I ended up probably writing about a third of that record and producing those songs. And then the following year, I got involved again in Canadian Idol and wrote what they call the winner single for Melissa O'Neill, and it was a song called Alive. That song I had written in Los Angeles with 2 songwriters named Lindy Robbins and Jess Cates, both amazing songwriters, great people, great friends of mine. Anyways, that song got heard by Teresa LaBarbera Whites, who was responsible for signing Destiny's Child and Jessica Simpson and a whole bunch of other people. Very, very successful, lovely woman in the music industry in America. Anyway, she heard this song and she thought this song would be really good for the artist Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees. And so she contacted me and said, would you like to come down and write with Nick, work with Nick, or record with him? And I was like, absolutely, that'd be amazing. So I started working with him. That sort of introduced me to the Jive family a little bit, getting to know those people. And then I got working with Backstreet Boys right after that. And that's when things really started changing. Just sort of like one thing after another, just started piling up. I went over to England and worked a whole bunch with a lovely guy over there named Matthew Marston, and we started writing a whole bunch. I then got involved with Jody Marr, and we started writing for Paloma Faith. Then I came back to Canada, and I got introduced to 12-year-old Justin Bieber, and he was just coming out of Stratford, Ontario, and started working with him, recorded this acoustic version of One Time, and then that just sort of exploded everything else. It's just like everything started going up to another level. Worked with Selena Gomez, and I swear, like, it just sort of became a little bit out of control really, really quickly. My life has kind of been that way since this time. The last 10 years have been crazy. It's just sort of like relating it. The best thing that I can relate it to is a pot of popcorn kernels, where you're looking at the pot, and there's 1,000 kernels in that pot, and you're just waiting for it to start popping, and you're hungry, you're ready, all of that. My career was kind of like that at the beginning, where it's like, how do I get this happening? How does it all work? And you just keep at it, keep the heat on those kernels. And after a long time, eventually one popcorn kernel goes poof, and there it is. There's one out of 1,000, and you're like, okay, that's great. That's not going to really fill me up. How can I get some more? And you just keep that heat on. You keep going, you keep trying, and keep making it happen. And eventually another one pops. And then 10 seconds later, 5 pop, and then 10 pop, and then 20 pop. And then it becomes this exponential popping where it just becomes crazy, and eventually it starts overflowing like you see at the movie theater, and all this popcorn starts going all over the place. That's kind of how it's been for me, long time, to just sort of ramp up and then just exponentially just boom off. And it's been crazy and fun ever since. Anyways, that's kind of my story of how I got into songwriting. That's the real sort of like quick version of it. If you guys have any questions from this video, please write me, and please subscribe to my channel if you like this video as well. Okay, thank you for listening, and I'll be popping up another video soon. Thank you. Music time.